Welcome to Folios, the Meter Center presentations on items from its rare book collection. My name is Karine Mogg, and I am the Meter Center Director. Today I'm going to show you one of my favorite items from the collection. This item was actually located, first of all, in the university, in Calvin University's rare book room, which is separate from the Meter Center's rare book collection. If you look at the title page of this book, it seems a little bit difficult to understand why it might be relevant to Calvin studies. The title of the book here is in Italian, and it says A Tragedy by F.N.B. entitled On Free Will. And there's a date, 1547, but there's not much else to tell you about who wrote it, when it was published, or anything like that, which is a little bit odd for 1547. The librarian who discovered this book in the university library's rare book collection brought it up to us at the Meter Center, and he wanted to know more about it. And he had been very careful in his look at the book and had gone through it, page after page of Italian writing on free will. But he noticed that after about 119 pages on free will, there was another book with a different title page. And this one is a catechism. A catechism or formulary to teach children the Christian religion, done in the form of a dialogue, where the minister of the church asks the questions and the child answers. And then a quotation from Paul to the Ephesians, not St. Paul, but Paul to the Ephesians, and a date, 1545. And our colleague brought the book up to me and to Paul Fields, the Meter Center curator, and said, well, what is this? What is this book? And Paul and I realized very quickly that this is an anonymous Italian translation of Calvin's Genevan Catechism, intended for covert circulation in Catholic Italy. And we know it was intended for secret circulation because there's no name of a publisher, there's no name of a city where the book was published, even though that information traditionally, and up to this point pretty regularly, was included with books. If it's not included, there's a reason. And the reason here would be because people want to conceal where the book comes from. Another good indicator that this was a book intending to conceal its provenance, where it had come from, is to look at the next page. You see this funny white space at the top and that letter H? What should be in that space is an ornamented initial. You know what I mean? One of those very elegant woodcuts of a sort of curlicued letter H that would sort of start the chapter. And that's missing. The printer has left it out, has just thrown in a normal capital letter H in that space. Because, you see, these ornamented initials were recognizably the work of particular printers. And this printer wanted to conceal who had brought this work into print, because it is intended for Catholic Italy, and it's a highly Protestant book. A catechism teaches basic doctrine. So whoever put this book out into circulation wanted to give it the best possible chance of not being detected, or not being detected as coming out of Geneva, which would condemn the book out of hand. So what we don't know, and what we can't say for sure, is that the two books were bound together deliberately to hide the catechism. That's a nice theory. It doesn't quite work, because the book on free will was dated 1547 and the catechism 1545, which would give the catechism, as it were, 2 years to go round without the protection of the other one. It's probably more likely that someone just put together later books that they had that were in Italian that were roughly the same size. But it is evidence, in terms of the fact of the publisher's name being missing, the place of publication being missing, that lack of an ornamented initial. It is evidence and a sign of how books really were incredibly important at the time, and how people might pay with their lives for publishing something that someone else objected to. And this is something that was true in all quarters. In other words, it's not a story of the bad Catholics and the good Protestants. Protestants were as likely to censor books as Catholics. So we need to try and remember the power of print. And something the Meter Center collection can do is really bring this to life for people. When you get to see, to handle, to examine these works, whether online like this or in person, you really get a sense of the power that these books hold.